Okay, so get this, the new Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie, it really got me thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what if those movies weren't just sci-fi? What if apes really did start, challenging humans for,
Challenging humans.
yeah, like Planet of the Apes, but actually...
Oh, wow. That's a fun thought experiment.
Yeah.
And the movies, they do tap into some real science about how different yet similar humans and apes are.
Right. And, like, we all know that saying humans evolved from monkeys, like, that's wrong, but
Right.
how are we related?
Well, it all goes back to a common ancestor that we share with apes
Mm.
millions of years ago. Think of it like a family tree, branching out. One branch led to modern apes, another to us.
Okay, that makes sense. So in the movies, the biggest difference, I think, is that the apes walk on two legs and talk. Is there, like, any chance apes could actually evolve those traits?
Let's tackle walking first.
Okay.
Bipedalism, as it's called, that was a game changer for humans. It freed up our hands,
It changed how we moved, everything.
But how do we know how our ancestors started walking? I mean, they didn't leave behind instruction manuals.
Right.
Like, how do we know?
Well, that's where fossils come in. There's this extinct ape species,
Okay.
Euamopithecus hyoean, found in China.
Oh,
Its
yeah.
inner ear structure.
Hmm.
It's wild. It suggests a way of moving that was somewhere between swinging from branches, like gibbons do,
Uh-huh.
and walking upright, like us.
So this Euamopithecus was like a stepping stone between the two.
Yeah, kind of. It really highlights how evolution isn't about, like, sudden leaps.
Yeah.
It's more about these gradual shifts over time.
Interesting.
And it wasn't like our ancestors chose to walk upright,
Right.
The environment likely played a huge role.
Okay.
Around 3.2 million years ago, the
Uh-huh.
climate cooled, forests shrank, grasslands expanded.
Wow.
Apes who could walk efficiently on two legs, they had a survival advantage in those open spaces.
So walking upright wasn't just a cool new trick. It was
It was essential.
essential.
Yeah, essential for survival.
Exactly. Okay, but what about talking? Could apes ever develop a language as complex as ours?
Well, communication is key for any smart species, but human language is in a league of its own.
Yeah.
Apes can learn basic vocabulary.
Right.
Sure, but their brains simply aren't structured for the kind of, complex grammar and abstract thought that we use.
So it's not just about them learning words. It's
Mhm.
it's how their brain is.
Yeah, it's about how their
Wow.
brains are wired, exactly.
Interesting.
And there's physical evidence of this difference.
Okay.
Take the hyoid bone,
Hyoid bone, yeah.
this small bone in the neck that supports the tongue.
Hmm.
In apes, it's shaped to support air sacs that help them make, like, loud calls.
Right.
But the human hyoid is different, allowing for a much wider range and subtlety of sounds. It's like we traded volume for articulation.
Wow. I never thought about the shape of a bone impacting language
Yeah.
so much.
It's fact.
Yeah, but what pushed humans to develop such sophisticated communication in the first place? Like, what was the reason?
That's a great question. Researchers have some fascinating theories.
Okay.
Imagine the challenges our early ancestors faced. Making tools,
Oh.
coordinating hunts,
Yeah.
navigating complex social structures.
Right.
All of that would have required, like, clear, precise communication.
So basically, as life got more complicated, we needed better ways to talk to each other.
It's a compelling idea, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Trying to explain how to make a tool or plan a hunt using just grunts and gestures
Right.
would be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Language would have been like a superhighway for information sharing.
Mm.
And there's actually some archaeological evidence that supports this theory.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, remember those Acheulean hand axes we talked about?
Yeah.
They're more than just sharp rocks. They're like
Oh, okay.
ancient messages in stone.
Hand axes as messages. I don't get it.
Okay. Well, these hand axes are found across 3 continents, and they date back almost 2 million years.
Wow.
But here's the thing. They're remarkably consistent in their design.
Mm.
It's not like every group of early humans was coming up with their own, like, unique hand axe style.
Right.
There was a standardized pattern.
So you're saying they weren't just copying each other randomly.
Yeah, exactly.
There had to be some way to share that knowledge
Right.
over huge distances
Yeah.
and long periods of time.
Exactly. And that's where language comes in. Trying to teach someone how to make a complex tool like that using only gestures or simple sounds
Right.
would be nearly impossible.
Yeah.
You'd need a way to convey like precise instructions
Uh-huh.
to describe shapes and techniques.
Hmm.
The Acheulean hand axes are like a snapshot
Okay.
of early human culture,
Yeah.
and their consistency suggests a level of communication that goes beyond simple calls or grunts.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
These tools are practically artifacts of early language development. It makes you wonder what other clues about early communication might be hidden in the archaeological record.
It's a fascinating thought. But even with all these advancements,
Yeah.
let's be real, the Planet of the Apes scenario,
Okay.
it's still pretty far-fetched.
Right.
Apes have their own incredible intelligence,
Mm.
but they've been evolving on a different path
Yeah.
for millions of years.
So while we might share a common ancestor, we're headed in different directions.
That's the beauty of evolution. It's full of
Oh, okay.
these branching paths,
Yeah.
unexpected turns.
Interesting.
And while apes aren't about to start reciting Shakespeare,
Right.
those movies do raise some interesting questions about, what it means to be human and
Mm.
what could happen if we lose the traits that define us.
Speaking of which, the new movie, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, flips the script a bit, right?
It does.
Humans have regressed and apes are in control.
Yep.
It makes you think, what if we lost our language, our technology,
That's right.
our complex social structures? Would we still be at the top of the food chain?
It's a thought-provoking premise. The movies often hold up a mirror to humanity, forcing us to confront our own potential for both greatness and destruction.
Mm.
In the original film,
Yeah,
it wasn't apes who destroyed human civilization. It was humans themselves.
that's a good point. It's like the real threat isn't some external force,
Right.
but our own capacity for self-sabotage.
Exactly.
But back to this idea of humans regressing.
Okay.
What do you think would happen if we lost those things that supposedly make us special?
Well, it depends on what you consider special, Is it our intelligence, our ability to communicate, our capacity for empathy? Or maybe it's something less tangible like our sense of wonder, our creativity, our drive to explore and understand the world around us.
Those are all pretty essential parts of being human.
Yeah.
But if we lost those things, would we even recognize ourselves anymore? Would we still be human in any meaningful sense?
That's a question that goes beyond the realm of science and into philosophy.
Oh, wow.
And it's something that the new Planet of the Apes movie seems poised to explore.
Okay.
It's not just about apes taking over. It's about what happens when a species loses the traits that define it and what might emerge in their place.
That's a pretty heavy concept for a popcorn movie.
It is.
But it's what makes the franchise so compelling.
Right.
It takes these fantastical scenarios
Yeah.
and uses them to ask real questions about, who we are and where we're headed.
And sometimes those fantastical scenarios can even make us appreciate the reality of our own evolution.
Oh, okay.
Remember those amazing adaptations we talked about?
Yeah.
Bipedalism, language.
Uh-huh.
Those weren't just random occurrences. They
No.
were shaped by millions of years of environmental pressures,
Yeah.
genetic mutations,
Right.
and countless other factors that all converge to make us who we are today.
It's mind-boggling when you think about it that way. All those tiny changes adding up over time to create something as complex
Yeah,
and incredible as the human species.
exactly. And it's a reminder that evolution is still happening,
Oh,
even now.
okay.
We might not be evolving into telepathic super apes anytime soon,
Right.
but our species is constantly adapting and changing in response to the world around us.
So even though Planet of the Apes might be science fiction, it still makes us think about the power and potential of evolution, both for humans and for other species.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that the future is never set in stone.
Yeah.
The choices we make today, both as individuals and as a species,
Uh-huh.
will shape the evolutionary landscape for generations to come.
Okay, that's a lot to ponder. But before we spiral down an existential rabbit hole,
Right.
let's talk about the apes themselves.
Okay.
In the movies, you see all these different types.
Yeah.
Chimps,
Mm-hmm.
gorillas, orangutans,
Mm-hmm.
each with their own, distinct personalities and roles.
Yeah.
Is that based on any real-world ape behavior?
Yeah, it's interesting how the movies play on those real-life differences. You've got the chimps like Caesar,
Right.
often portrayed as the clever strategists, the leaders.
Yeah.
Then there are the gorillas, all brute strength and loyalty, usually taking on those soldier roles.
Right.
And let's not forget the orangutans.
Oh, yeah.
Wise, contemplative, often filling the elder or advisor positions.
It's like they took those core ape traits
Yeah.
and built a whole society around them.
Yeah.
But is there any truth to that? Could apes actually form such complex social structures in real life?
Well, apes are incredibly social creatures. They
No.
have intricate hierarchies, family bonds.
Right.
They even engage in forms of, cooperation and problem solving.
Hmm.
But human societies are built on a whole other level.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. We have language that allows for abstract thought, planning for the far future, sharing complex ideas across generations. Our societies are built on laws, traditions, institutions,
Yeah.
things that require a level of communication and shared understanding that apes simply haven't evolved.
So while they might have their own social complexities, it's not quite the same as building cities and writing constitutions.
Exactly. Their intelligence is undeniable,
Uh-huh.
but it's expressed in different ways. Take tool use, for example.
Okay.
Chimps use sticks to fish for termites.
Right.
Gorillas use branches to test water depth.
Hmm.
Orangutans even fashion tools from leaves to protect themselves from rain. It's ingenious.
Yeah.
But it's driven by, immediate needs, not the kind of long-term planning and abstract thinking that drives human civilization.
It's fascinating how those differences in intelligence manifest themselves.
Yeah.
So even though we might share a common ancestor,
Right.
our evolutionary paths have led us to very different places.
Precisely. And that's what makes those Planet of the Apes movies so thought-provoking. They take those real-world differences and extrapolate them into this, grand what-if scenario.
Right.
What if apes did develop human-like intelligence and social structures?
Yeah.
What would that mean for us?
It definitely forces us to confront some uncomfortable possibilities.
It does.
But in the end, isn't it all just speculation?
Of course. We're talking science fiction here.
Right.
But good science fiction is rooted in real ideas.
Yeah.
And it makes us think about the world in new ways.
Uh-huh.
Those movies spark conversations about evolution, intelligence, the nature of humanity,
Right.
things that are relevant whether or not there's ever a real-life Planet of the Apes.
That's a great point. Like, even if this specific scenario is far-fetched,
Right.
the underlying themes still resonate with us.
Yeah. And it makes you appreciate just how complex and
Yeah.
unpredictable evolution really is.
Exactly. And who knows what the future holds? Maybe
Yeah.
we'll discover new fossils that rewrite our understanding of ape evolution.
That would be amazing. Maybe we'll find evidence of even more sophisticated ape behavior.
Right.
The beauty of science is that it's always evolving, just like the species we study.
Well, I think we've officially blown my mind for one day.
Oh, wow.
This whole deep dive has been incredible.
It has.
We've gone from ancient fossils and the evolution of walking to the origins of language
Yeah.
and the complex social structures of apes.
Right.
And we've tied it all back to those thought-provoking Planet of the Apes movies.
It's been a fantastic journey. And it highlights how science and pop culture can intersect in fascinating ways, sparking curiosity and encouraging us to, explore the world around us with open minds.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Great.
So to all our listeners out there, remember,
Yeah.
evolution is a wild ride, and there's always more to learn.
That's right.
Keep asking questions,
Oh,
keep exploring, and who knows, maybe you'll make the next big discovery that changes our understanding of the world.
that's the
And maybe, just maybe, you'll find yourself pondering the possibility of a Planet of the Apes in a whole new light.
right.
Until next time, this has been The Deep Dive, signing off.